Well, hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. How are we doing today?
Man, we're doing amazing. Good to see you.
Awesome. Yeah, you too. So before we dive into questions, I definitely want to get a little bit of background. So tell us a little bit more about your role, each of you at Think Media, and your personal journey. Sean, we're going to get started with you.
Yeah, thanks so much. And what's up, everybody? Thanks for being here today on Connect Summit. Yeah, for me, I started shooting videos in my bedroom in 2003, or I started for my local church as an intern. 6 kids in the youth ministry, started using Adobe Premiere and a Canon HV30 with mini DV tapes. And eventually I started a channel for my church in 2007, which is crazy. It was just 2 years after YouTube started, and started a freelance business in 2009, and then finally built up the courage in 2010 to post my first video. Your first videos are your worst videos. I was like a deer in headlights. It was terrible. But then fast forward years later, I went from kind of being a solo creator and doing tech reviews based on my video background to eventually getting to kind of build this business and this team of creators up with Omar and Heather in the last really 6 years as Think Media kind of came to life. So the journey's been crazy and grateful.
Awesome. Love it. I love that. Heather, how about you?
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to be here. And my journey actually started in the digital marketing space. So I was geeking out on things like Facebook ads and Google ads and things like that. And I knew I needed to get into video. I was running an agency at the time, and I knew I needed to get into video. And so I met Sean, and we started collaborating and really started to grow a channel that could impact people's lives. And from that, I went from being behind the scenes in front of the camera. We've created one of the fastest growing video education courses, and it's been just an awesome experience. But I really had to overcome a lot of things to get in front of the camera. This is not natural for me, and so I've done a lot of work to be able to look into the lens and be able to press record. So I'm excited to share that journey and some tips for people today.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into that for sure. And we definitely are going to be diving into some of that stuff. So, Omar, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, kind of similar to Sean. In high school, I took broadcast journalism and got my hands on a camera. And that was 15 years ago. Got my hands in Premiere Pro. And little did I know what I would be 15 years later, teaching the things that, I learned through these years. But me and Sean have some history where we actually worked together at a church. And then a couple of years kind of split up, and that's when he kind of took Think Media seriously. And then we actually ended up running into each other at the gym, and he was in a place of where he needed an editor and someone to shoot his videos, and to go from like a solo creator to somebody who actually starting to build a team. And so it's been an incredible journey. Currently, I'm kind of like, my formal title is the creative director of Think Media, and really what I'm passionate is trying to help people make this easier. And I always like to use the illustration how, we're not teaching cursive in school anymore. However, speaking to a camera is a form of communication that a lot of people need to grow in. And I think Media is going to have a good place in how we teach this new language that more people should grow in and learn. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to share all the things that everyone here wants to hear. And yeah.
Oh, I love that analogy with the cursive. That's good. I've not heard that one before. So before we get into the strategy stuff, I definitely want to hear from you, Sean, on how you and your team at Think Media use live video and, of course, Streamyard.
Yeah, so we have built up to this, but currently we go live 5 to 10 times per week, if not more. And again, that's a collective of people, but I'll break down the list. We share a tip every week inside of our YouTube group coaching program. That's in a Facebook group. We do a show where we bring on a guest in that Facebook group every month. We have an online business membership where we go live twice a month in that Facebook group. On our YouTube channel, Heather Torres has a show called the YouTube Made Simple Show. So it's live, and she starts with teaching, and then she brings on guests or answers questions. My show, and these happen every other week, is called Coffee with Cannell. And in some cases, we multi-stream. It'll go to our YouTube page, Facebook page, as well as potentially a Facebook group or two that we have for Think Media. We do a live webinar monthly, which is an interesting use case because this would be to an unlisted YouTube video that's embedded on a private page. So it can be just kind of an experience, but very easy. We love Streamyard because it's so easy to use. We can teach from slides and whatever we want to do and use it for kind of practical things like webinars and web classes. Omar does a monthly live tech show on our Think Media channel. And then we also use StreamYard to do our Think Media video podcast sometimes. I'm actually spending more time. I'm a new dad. I have a 15-month-old now, and we are spending more time up in Seattle with family. So I'm able to use just the record feature in StreamYard. And I recently recorded a video podcast. You know, it's 45 minutes of me stumbling over my parts and whatever and trying to get all the information conveyed. And then Steph, who's actually an editor on our team now in Canada, was able to download that right out of StreamYard, edit that, and then it goes out. The audio is stripped off. And then, of course, the video goes to the video side of our podcast. And then finally, we also go live when we're inspired. Sometimes we see a news headline we need to react to, or we find out that Sony is suspending some of their cameras because of shortage of silicone and sensors. And so it's like, hey, this is something we need to respond to on one of our channels. So I know like that was a fire hose and I don't recommend that day one. But yeah, man. And StreamYard is like the engine for making it quick, working at different offices and even in different states on our team to make all of that possible.
Yeah, I love how you went through. You're right. It was a lot, but that is a fully optimized strategy with how to use StreamYard and all the different and great ways that you can actually use the tool. So I love that. So Heather, let's take it to you because kind of with that being said, you guys have obviously an amazing content strategy and a live video structure, but it hasn't necessarily always been that way. As Sean just mentioned, don't start day one that way. Can you share about what you and the team have had to overcome to get there?
Yeah. And wow, I mean, when you do hear all of the things we do, I'm like, we do all of that. I mean, we do a lot using this tool. And you're right, it did not start that way. I actually remember I was going back just to look at some of our first live streams that we started doing on the channel. I remember when live happened, and Sean is such a visionary. He's like, we're gonna do this, it's gonna be great. But that all sounds good in theory, right? Like, we're gonna do this, it's gonna be great. But you actually have to press go live. And where we started was kind of the deer in the headlights. When you are recording a video and you have the option of editing, you can stumble, you can start over, you can press stop, delete that, and come back. When you're live, it's live. And so one of the things that we had to really overcome was the idea of everything I'm saying is going to be out there, and it's okay. And I hope that that's one piece that you take, is that live has something special about it. There's something unique about being able, like you are right now, to hear my voice and to see my hand gestures and to know that I'm thinking in real time and this isn't going to be edited. This is what it is. But I personally had to overcome the fear. I actually remember one of my first live streams. It took me a couple hours. I was in my head to just actually press record. And then get this, Melanie, when I pressed record, I completely bombed it. I completely bombed it. And so here's what I did. I just stopped the recording. I took a deep breath and I went at it again. And being able to be resilient in this process, being able to overcome the fear of being judged on camera, or overcome the fear of I talk too fast, I use my hands too much, I smile really big, whatever those things are for you, were things that I had to overcome as a content creator. And I just want to encourage anyone who may be feeling like this is hard, like going live is hard. I just want you to get 1% better every time. And that's what we do here at Think Media. We challenge each other to get 1% better. So if I'm saying too much, maybe Omar will call that out on me. Or maybe I am talking too fast because I'm nervous and sweaty, right? It's okay. You want to just get 1% better every single time.
I love that. I love that 1% piece. I think that's something we can all take with us for sure. So thank you for sharing that, Heather. That's amazing. So Omar, obviously Heather just talked about overcoming fear to improve. What do you have to share about that? She did kind of, mention you that you might be the one throwing out the calling out of the ums, but what are your thoughts on this topic?
Well, first off, I just want to shout out Tara, just crushing it with the interpretation. I'm like entertained as we're all sharing. I definitely think it sounds kind of negative, But something that I think is super helpful is to ask the question, how can this be better, or what's wrong with this? And what I mean by that is like with whatever you're producing, or maybe, do a test run of something of a live stream. But like asking that question, it begs you to lean into improvement. And so when we say getting 1% better, I would say maybe it's not so obvious, but one of those key ingredients to that is self-awareness and thinking about constantly, how can this be better? What's wrong with this? Why does my audio sound like that? And even asking questions as you're seeing things right now. We're live streaming and it doesn't look like a live stream. It doesn't look like we're using traditional webcams, but these are questions, and questions can lead you down a path of improvement. And really, we've built Think Media to be a library where people, with whatever questions you have in regards to this whole video production, content creation thing, that it would serve you. And that's why we formulate our videos in question form. But if you're not asking the right questions, it's going to be tough to get the right answers. And so continuing to ask yourself what's wrong with something, or how can something be better, will lead you down that path of improvement.
I love it. And our audience is loving all the stuff that you guys are sharing as well. I know that this is very inspiring. So this is great. So Sean, let's start to talk a little bit about strategy. So you at Think Media, obviously you have an amazing process, or you wouldn't be able to produce all of this content, whether it be live shows and your pre-recorded videos, and they definitely stand out. Tell us about your thought process behind all of that.
Yeah. I think one of the most helpful things is to create structure and a template so you can kind of just fill in the pieces for your live show. And I've actually never really shared this anywhere before. And so there's going to be a lot of value. And if you're taking notes, I encourage you can write this down. This is our 7-step framework for our show structure. And it might kind of sound complex, but you can just take this, use it. And I think it'll actually bring more peace and synergy to your next live stream if you want to steal some of these parts. And so it's the big idea, number 1, the hook, number 2, the intro or bumper, which is optional, number 3, 4 is the welcome, and 5 is the content, 6 is Q&A, and 7 is the close. I'm going to repeat all of those, but I just wanted to give you the whole framework. And so here's it starts with the big idea. And I think that one of the opportunities of live is to just kind of hit live and be like, hey guys, want to hang out? I don't really have a plan. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe answer some of your questions. That's fine, but that's not really how we do it on our shows. We pre-plan, and here's number 1, the big idea. We pre-plan the title, and we want the title to be a really strong headline. We pre-design the thumbnail, because the power of Streamyard is you can schedule the stream ahead of time, but you need a strong title and a strong thumbnail that people actually want to show up. You want that to be compelling and interesting, like, oh, I can't miss that. I need to turn on notifications. We pre-schedule it in Streamyard, and then we also pre-write at least simple notes or an outline, or we create like a PowerPoint or a Keynote deck. I'm reading off of a Google Doc right now next to my Streamyard dashboard, so I can even tell you these 7 points. So I pre-planned what I'm sharing right now so that I could stay structured. And so that first thing is the big idea. And I think if you start with a strong big idea, then the rest of the stream can kind of draft behind that. Secondly is the hook. And this is the opportunity for, as soon as the stream starts, we pre-plan or pre-write something that will really grab people. And I like to open with a qualifying question. And it might be something like, are you curious what are the best ways to get views on YouTube in 2022? Like, what are the newest strategies that are really working to get the YouTube algorithm activated and sharing your videos? I'm going to share that in this training coming up. And so I don't just usually do that off the cuff. I've thought ahead, or it's a lot of just rereading the title. It's just restating that people are in the right place. And not only that, not only do I open with a qualifying question, but I also like to have 3 strong reasons that people should keep watching. So it might say, in this very video, I'm going to be sharing some new stats that just came out from Forbes about the creator economy. I'm going to be showing you a new YouTube analytics feature that they just updated in the back end of YouTube. And stay until the end, because I'm going to be breaking down a really cool case study from Think Media that will help you get more views. So you can imagine the difference between having a qualifying question and 3 reasons to keep watching, or just going, hey guys, welcome to the live. We're going to get started here in a little bit. And you haven't really just pre-thought that out. I know this takes energy and work, but it's why we have not just live streams that do well when they start, but actually that get viewed for weeks, months, and years to come, because there's some structure to the content. And number 3, we may do an intro bumper. So Heather's got a little 10-second YouTube made simple bumper, just put it together in editing, use some software. Welcome. It's like 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the YouTube made simple show. I have one for Coffee with Cannell. We can run our shows by ourselves. That's the power of StreamYard. We just hit that bumper, but that's not even necessary. And as Heather mentioned, when we started, it was not 7 steps. It was not cool bumper. That's just as the show has evolved. And then we might say, hey, welcome back to Coffee with Cannell. My name's Sean Cannell, if you're new here. And in this very video, I've got about 15 minutes of training. We'll do Q&A in just a bit. And today's episode's brought to you by, and this is a cool tip, because I'm sure we're watching this. We want to figure out how to build our businesses, make money, make this full-time, or even scale our business. I think every show should be sponsored. Well, what if I can't get brand deals or sponsorship? We actually sponsor our own shows. We just always have a call to action. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by YouTube Secrets. If you haven't read my book, YouTube Secrets, it's out now. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by whatever that leads into the business we're building. And that could be different. Today's brought to you by Think Media merch, like whether it's merch, a course, a membership site, a book, your workshop, your art. Like it starts kind of creating a cadence of sponsoring your own show. And then when brands want to work with you, will be like, hey, today's episode is brought to you by whatever brand. And you also have that opportunity. Then it's the content. Number 5, after the welcome's quick, just deliver the actual value. We like to teach around points, so there's structure. Just want to share 3 quick things with you today. And then we really transition and go into Q&A, which might be much more free flow by that time. It's pretty organized, not a lot of talking to the comments or chat during the beginning, so that the replay value is really good. And then it's like, all right, hey, you want to say, what's going on? Like, what are you drinking today? I'm sipping some coffee. We treat kind of that social time and interactive time secondarily. And then depending on how long that is, we might kind of tell people about what it's brought to you by. Hey, as a reminder, today's brought to you by whatever you want to promote, because at 30 minutes in or 45 minutes in, it's just another touch point on that call to action. And by the way, you could also say it's brought to you by a giveaway I'm doing on my Instagram. And you could then send people to your Instagram if that's where you would want people to join you. And then a quick close at the end. So we kind of just build around that structure. And if you're hearing it for the first time, you might be like, dear God, that feels overwhelming. But because we have that, now we just put the pieces in. It's like Legos. My son's playing with all kinds of different Legos and these blocks and these magnets that connect together. We're just like, what's the big idea? What's the title? How are we opening? What do I want to teach today? And it's like building a muscle up of live streaming that template really helps us go further faster. And so I hope that serves people on their next show if they want to use some of those pieces.
Yeah, that was gold. The 7-step little process there, definitely awesome. And I loved how you said, don't be overwhelmed by it. Once you build the structure, now you have the structure. So I certainly love everything you shared about those seven elements. So Heather, let's talk about how you structure your shows. Can you share with us how you approach it?
Yeah, and a couple things I want to add in there is when we're structuring our shows, there are certain elements. When you think about, I grew up 90s, 2000s, and so I was on, Oprah Winfrey. When I think about the daily talk shows, right? We are now just bringing what has already worked. I mean, tons of research has gone into the idea of what makes good television, right? We're just coasting off the back end of that and bringing that to this new platform, YouTube, basically, and being able to structure these live shows. And so some of the things that happen on TV are things like commercials, commercial breaks, segments. Sean was talking about that. And then call to actions, like he said. So a couple things that I want to make sure are always in my shows are those elements. Why? Because we have been so used to being able to watch TV in that structure that we're just bringing that over to YouTube. So a couple things that I love to do inside of StreamYard is whatever the call to action is for that month, we will pre-record that call to action. So I can click that button on the commercial, take a drink behind the scenes, and Heather's still on the screen being able to do that. Because Melanie, when you're live and you're really giving that energy, you need to take a break for a second. You need to get a drink, whatever that looks like for you. So making sure that happens. And then using the tools. One thing that is so amazing about this software specifically is how dynamic it can be. And so having different overlays, having different banners, you want to be resetting attention throughout your show or throughout your live stream. And so using the pieces and the elements that are available to you inside of this software can really take your live stream from like a 2 to a 10 by just using a few simple pieces that we have already been programmed to know how we've been programmed to see before, and bringing those elements into this new medium of online video.
I absolutely love that. And yes, you do need a break from screen sometimes. And I love that people are used to seeing shows and productions that way. So why not introduce that into your live productions? And you're right, StreamYard does make this very, very doable. And it's one of the things I love about the tool. So Omar, I want to take it to you, and then we're going to try to take some questions from our audience. So if you have questions for this amazing panel, throw a Q in front of your comment. I want to see some questions come up so that we can do some rapid fire here in a second. But Omar, why don't you share with us, what are some things that you do to kind of like continuously improve, or how do you approach your shows? Maybe some things that Heather and Sean did not mention.
Yeah, so I would say on the production side of it, I've kind of come up with a framework or kind of like an acronym, and it's AVLS. AVLS, not Elvis, Alvis. But really, it's kind of like my checklist before I get started, and it checks off audio for video, lighting, and then stabilization. So like, what's capturing my audio, or how is my audio? How am I doing video? Do I want two angles? Do I want two angles to do things? How am I sharing a secondary screen? And then, how is my lighting? My light, somebody commented that they like my lighting. It's a big soft box. Matter of fact, if you want to see my setup, just put in the comments, show me your setup. You can put in the comments, show me your setup. And I know Matt's not going to like me for this, but here I go. Have you ever seen a live stream vlog? We are live streaming and we are vlogging. But I want to show you what I got, my AVLS. And so here is my setup. I have my mic right out of frame, so you don't see it in the shot. There's my nice little soft box. It's a cob light, meaning it puts out a big, large light, but yet maintains its softness. And then I got my two M50 Mark IIs, which allow me to produce a crispy shot like you see. And so that's really like the checklist. And then you see like this light up here. I got a nice little hair light to kind of separate me from my background. And somebody mentioned this is not a real window. This is actually a fake light, making it look like there's a window, kind of giving me like a time of day and a kind of a vibe. And so I know like the comments are going crazy now. We have a lot of videos on our setups on Think Media, but that's just a framework to ask yourself, how's my audio? How's my video? How's my lighting? And in the case of usually like vlogging, my stabilization is, is it too shaky? Like, do I need something else to hold up my camera? Do I need a gimbal and things like that? But really, it can be very simple once you dial in your setup based off of your needs. And so, yeah, I think that's just something that I can leave you with is to write that down. I know a lot of people are stepping into this for the very first time. It's the first time they're touching a camera. They, you ordered a camera because we recommended it, and then you get paralyzed because now you got to learn how to use the camera. But really, if you can just simplify the process, you'll succeed. And so, what do you want to do? And AVLS, I think, will help you along the way.
Oh, I love that. And I think the audience enjoys watching that process, right? They enjoy watching that continuous improvement that you have going on. So that was a really fun behind the scenes there. So, okay, so I want to ask each of you one quick question that I want each of you to share, and then we'll try to take a few questions here from our audience. So, Sean, what is the best advice that you want to give our attendees as they stream and create content in 2022? What's your takeaway for them?
Yeah, I think my best advice is to ask yourself, what is the bigger mission and purpose that you're live streaming for? And there's a famous talk from Simon Sinek in a book called Start With Why. Like, why is it that you want to do this? What's the impact that you want to make on Earth? And that might have just kind of blown up things to a whole nother level But, what I've learned is that it's easy to get bogged down with the tech details and the camera and the lighting and all of those things. But what really matters most is deeply caring about the viewer on the other side of the stream, coming from a place of real love and like the desire to help them achieve something or to entertain or to impact or to educate. And then to just be yourself, to be authentic, vulnerable, and just put yourself out there. People don't need another copy of your favorite influencer, and you don't need to be like somebody else. You just need to be yourself, and you need to be you times two, and just continue to step into what's your vision? What's your values? What's the impact that you want to make? And I've learned that when my motivation is low, or that when I'm maybe hesitant to get on camera, that when I take it to another level and re-tap into my why and re-tap into my purpose, that it lights a fire in me to overcome the challenges and the fear and the fatigue that can come with really being a content creator. And so I would encourage you to start with why and to be purpose driven all 2022.
I love that. Heather, real quick from you, what's your takeaway you want to give everybody? What's their advice you want to give for everyone for this year?
Yeah, my advice for this year, my friend Jennifer Allwood wrote a book called Don't Let Fear Hold You Back, right? I don't want you to let fear hold you back. And you might be thinking, I'm not really good enough for this. You are good enough for this. You already have a message inside of you that is powerful and is waiting to make an impact in people's lives. You might be thinking, yeah, but it's not going to look good enough. I can't do the switchy thing that Omar did. I don't have the cool setup like Sean does, but let me just tell you, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. So if you think it's not going to be good enough, you just need to get 1% better. And you might be thinking, yeah, but what if I get started and it fails? I want to flip that for you this year. I want you to think that 2022 is the year of what if it succeeds? What if what you're building actually could go to the next level? What if the dreams and the desires you have in your heart to impact people on a massive scale actually succeeds? Rather than going into this year thinking, what if this all fails? I want you to flip it and say, what if I can do this? And I just want to encourage you that when you step outside of your comfort zone, that is where real change happens, not just for you, but for the person that is waiting for your message on the other side of that lens. So I just want to encourage you that this year, be committed to punching fear in the face and pressing record.
I love it. Omar, take us away. Give us your quick final words of wisdom for everyone as we close this one out.
Final words of wisdom is this. For 2022, I want you to set output goals, not outcome goals. Many times we set these goals and they're like, I want this many subscribers. I want this many followers. I want to encourage you to flip it and create goals that are what can you control? You can't really control the amount of followers you're going to grow or subscribers, but you can control how much outputs you're creating. So what is that? Is that going to be one video a week, one live stream a week, 2 live streams a month? But creating the output goals this year, it will help you be more consistent, will actually help you get better. And it actually focuses your attention on something you can't control. So I just want to encourage you with that. Create output goals and not outcome goals. And I promise you'll be happy with the outcome when you stick to those outputs.
Oh, I absolutely loved all of that. That was absolutely incredible. Thank you, Sean, Heather, and Omar, for sharing all of your knowledge. Unfortunately, we don't have time for an audience Q&A, but I have to say, everyone, if you want to learn more about Think Media, you can find more of the details at freeyoutubeschool.com. You definitely want to go check that out. That was absolutely incredible. So go follow Think Media and check them out.